anything, or it will create an issue. Okay. So yeah, you just go through everything step by step as it is in the course. And what it'll do is as you get to certain benchmarks, it will begin to populate your documents. And then your documents will show up here on this site in your student folder. So this is a look on the inside of a student folder. Here's their UCC1, right? The collateral statement for their UCC1. There's the collateral for their correction. Let's look at property list here. So here is a copy of their property list. Okay, so like I said, as you move through the course and you hit the different benchmarks, your documents will begin to populate one by one inside of these folders. And as you get to the end of this section of the course, you'll gather your documents from here, print them out, get them signed and or notarized as the instructions let you know. And then, you'll send out, you'll do your county recording, and then you'll send out for notification to the agencies. So like I said, this is not a quick thing. If you want it done right, you've got to actually take the time to do the studying and, and to dig in. And the more you dig in, the better secured party you will be. Okay, so.
And Mary, if you guys have any questions now that you're on, feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you have.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty, I didn't say anything about this student services consultation link. So this link right here is if you have questions that are pertaining to your course, then we don't charge you for consultations based on, course content. But if you are doing something outside of that course, you should really just go ahead and book a regular 1-hour consultation, which there is a charge for. But as long as it is relative to the course that you're in, like this one, secured party, there's no charge for these courses or for these meetings. You can have up to one a week as they're needed, right? And there's no charge for them. Sometimes they will be with me. But if we've talked before and I felt that another faculty was better suited for that situation, then I will pass it on to that faculty. Okay. The main goal of these meetings is to keep you on track, have the conversations that are needed, and to give you relevant resources that you need to use for, to move forward in your research. Okay, and so in each course that's structured, there's a link like this where you can schedule your consultations. Okay. Let's see. There's a playlist on secured party. Let's see what's on there. So this right here is a collection of different videos. Like this one here is one of the meetings. This one here is also a meeting. So you will have the opportunity to listen to some of those. But there's also some that are in here that will help you find different things like how to turn in an assignment or how do you do the collateral. And these videos may be somewhere else on the site, but this is just a page that has, a lot of different videos in one place in case you want to go through in a playlist format. So there are several different ways to take in content on these sites. Okay, now I'm getting a lot of tabs open, so I'm going to close some of these down. And I am happily waiting for some questions.
Mary and Mark, how have things been going with you guys? Can you give us a progress update on what's been going on in your lives since you last been on the Q&A call?
Oh my God. It'll be a book.
And you guys are pretty low. Can you turn your volume up, please?
How's that?
Oh, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah, we had it on another speaker, so I was talking into the wrong end. We've both been a little bit rope-a-doped with a variety of things going on, so I don't know how wide to go, but the courts out here seem to be going after everybody. So we've been trying to help a couple of other friends that have got themselves in a mess. And the courts kind of have them cornered. So we've been devoting a lot of time to them. But yeah, the tyranny that's going on in this county is absurd. Every
You
single.
guys are in California, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes, we're in Santa Clara County, the county of the belly of the beast here.
Mm-hmm.
The Silicon Valley, they got lots of money. They every time they turn and lose one judge, they hire 4 more. They've hired on now they've gone from 150 now to 450 ADAs. So they're stacking up a bigger business model. And it's just crazy, though. We've been in court quite a few days now watching things go on. And they are pushing hard in front of all of these people that don't know any better to file no contest, shove them into a corner and have them go into a diversion program and get fines in front of them and get them basically handcuffed into the system. It's just gotten really crazy here. So
Yeah, and we actually had an update last week. We have a student who just recently did the title track service, and she got an update from them, and they found in their investigation, they found so much fraud that her mortgage is wrapped in. It is unbelievable. The people that our student have in federal court right now, nobody has the right to collect that debt. And with the investigation from Title Tracks that we got when Donna gave us the update, she said there's like 3 counties in California that are rampant with fraud, from the police department to the courts to the county itself. And with the information that she got back for our student Monica, literally everything that Monica needs to seal her case is now in that Title Tracks report, and she's going to go ahead and put that in her federal court case as soon as it's available, because it's not just a forensic audit that is done on that Title Tracks. It's like she gets on the Bloomberg terminal and tracks every instrument. She tracks everywhere it's been, the maturity dates, who owns the note, where's if a mortgage and a note are separated, they both become null and void. Right? And so what that Title Tracks does is it shows you where the separation happened, and it shows you all the fraud that occurred afterwards. And they can't answer for that in court. They just can't do it. So there are some options in here that may be able to help you guys. And Monica is in California. She's in California, and she has them. She's got like the county attorney contacting her saying, oh, it looks like somebody's committing fraud on your account, and we want to help get this. If this wasn't you, let us know and reach out. And she's getting letters from other investigating agencies, and Federal Trade Commission is like watching her case, and then she's got her federal case going on in court, and nobody can answer her claim. And it's wild to watch it actually all go down, because the fraud is so blatant. It's like so in your face.
Yes. And they have no shame, no heart, no nothing. They just throw it in your face. This one lady's been in there 2 years,
2.5 years.
2.5 years, 69 years old. They took her horses away because somebody was mad at the owner of the property. And
Oh my gosh.
they took them away. They sent her a bill for $10,000 for feeding them, and then sold them
They kept them on.
and kept
Oh
them.
my gosh.
And they would,
Insane.
and they forced her into either having a DA or not a DA, a public defender or a attorney. So she found this attorney, but this attorney doesn't strike me as somebody who cares. He's already saying, well, she's had so many bench warrants. I go, because that's to scare her. She's been at every single meeting 2 times a month, 3 times a month, and some months were four times.
Wow.
She's a mess.
She's a mess. She's just a mess. I just happened to call her one day and
Yeah, that just breaks my heart because
yeah,
everybody in this country deserves a place to live. Right? Everybody deserves a roof over their head. And we should be able to afford it. And they shouldn't just be able to snatch it whenever they freaking feel like it. Right? But the fraud that they do in this country is so disgusting and disturbing. I mean, they will literally take your note, photocopy it 10 times, destroy the original, and take those 10 copies and put them in a mortgage pool for 10 other mortgages.
no, I understand that.
And then sell them. And then next thing you know, you're being foreclosed on by 3 or 4 different companies that you've never even heard of before.
Yeah.
Right? And it's only because you don't understand what they're doing. Right? But once you understand what they're doing and you can show their actual fraud, that's when they begin to shut down. Or you come to the understanding that your original mortgage record was never even perfected, and you go back and perfect that original record, everything else starts dissolving.
Does that work on horses too?
Does it work on horses too?
Because they stole their horses.
You know, I don't know. I would love to get more information because I love horses. I used to ride when I was young, and my mother was a barrel racer. You know what I mean? So horses, I love horses. They are some of the most amazing animals on the planet. For them to just blatantly steal them from her like that, man, I would charge them out the butt. Like they would have a serious claim against them.
Yeah,
for stealing my private property.
Exactly.
yeah, they've stolen her private property. They've taken her ability to make any money away.
That
They've
was her
killed her
livelihood.
business. That was her complete livelihood. For the last 2.5 years, she's had nothing.
3 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. See, something like that, I would set her up with Kristen and Mark. They are let's call them legal advisors because neither one of them have their bar card anymore, but they are both attorneys, right? And they have an arbitration company and everything. So they would understand how to fight, for that property back or for compensation for what they've done. Because if they destroyed her livelihood,
They did.
then they've got to pay for that.
Yep.
Yep. And they
Right?
can't find
Just-
the horses. They can't
Yeah.
find the horses anymore. The horses are missing in action. Just like when kids go missing, so are these horses.
Yup. They do that. They do that. Because they know that the layman is not going to be able to fight it.
Exactly.
So they do what they want to, and then if that person is savvy enough, then maybe something will reverse. But if not, then they got what they want. I'm sure they made a pretty penny on selling her horses.
Yeah. Well, they just browbeat them until they submit. She's, 3 or 4 times said she just wants to be done with it. She just wants to leave. She just doesn't care anymore. They've got her in such a spot where it's just.
All she does is cry.
Yeah, that's what they do. They crush her. That's what they did to me when they took my kids. They crushed my soul.
Yeah.
Yep, they crush your
Because
spirit.
they know, if we crush her soul, she won't be able to fight.
That's right.
So
You
that's
know,
where
and
we're at.
it's so sad, but it's true. That's what they do every day.
All day long.
Yep.
And the crooked attorneys are with them. And the DAs, everybody, the police, the sheriff, all of them.
Yeah, and you know what the amazing part about that is when you begin to come against them in the proper way, they all start throwing each other under the bus. That's what's happening with Monica right now. The county attorney is throwing everybody under the bus. The county recorder is on the county attorney's side saying, oh, there's fraud. The lady that tried to steal her house is being protected by the police because they've redacted all of her information out of the police report. So now the police are on the fraudulent side. Now they're trying to throw the other people under the bus saying, well, we were just doing what we were supposed to, when they did the complete opposite because they trespassed the owner from their property.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like they're now, because fraud has been mentioned and it's on the table, even the county sheriff is there. No, everybody's scared to even touch it right now.
What county is she in?
Contra Costa.
Okay. She just
And when she spoke with Monica, she let her know that I'm pretty sure she said there's 3 counties that the fraud is so strong, like it's beginning to show a pattern. And when anything with mortgages starts to show a pattern to Donna, that means class action lawsuit. Right? So
you know what, when you,
what's going on in your county and Monica's county, and there's another student in a third county, and I think each one of those counties was, the counties that Donna was talking about. And she's like, if we can find a couple other people in these counties that I can show this pattern, she was like, that's class action lawsuit and that's big money.
but you know what? You know who gets the money in those? The attorneys.
Yeah, but we don't really mess with them like that. See, like
Okay.
Monica's doing her federal court case. She doesn't have an attorney.
Oh, good. Okay.
Right. We're walking her through this stage by stage, step by step, document by document. I mean, Mark does, I think he does like 250 a document. And it doesn't, like, it could be like an in rem action. It could be like an actual federal lawsuit. It could be like just the discovery part. Like he charges per document to help you get your case established and together, but it's coming from an attorney, right? So he gives you the understanding to be able to go in there pro se and stand your ground, because when they see those documents, they're gonna be like, oh crap, there's not much, you know what I mean, that we could do to fight this, because this document looks like it's coming from an attorney. And they're damn right, it is coming from an attorney, but it's coming from an attorney who gave their bar card back because they knew it was fraud and they weren't going to do that to people anymore.
Great.
As a matter of fact, Kristen just reached out to me last night. She's like, you guys got anything going on for us? I was like, not yet. It's been a little bit, but they're anxious and eager to help people get through this stuff, because this is just disgusting. It's ridiculous.
It's more than ridiculous. It's demonic.
Absolutely.
We have no shame about it. They throw it in your face. They put this poor woman to hell. And she doesn't know anything. How is she supposed to know about this stuff?
Right.
You sound a bit broken up though, Mary. You guys are starting to sound a bit broken up again.
Yeah, and they're betting that you don't know. Like, they're betting that you don't know, because Everybody's being portrayed as the US citizen. And as long as you're being portrayed as the US citizen, they're going to do whatever they want to with you. It's just what it is. They're just, oh, well, they don't know no better. And oh, we'll just force them to get an attorney. And then, of course, the attorney just rolls you over and spreads your butt cheeks. And I'm like, well, you really didn't do anything but make it easier for them to come against me. Right? So if we know that's what attorneys do, why do we bother with them?
You know, they forced her, they had her, last time she went to court was 2 weeks before. When they said, you can't represent yourself. We gave you a test and you can't represent yourself. So you have to have a public defender. And she said, I don't want one. I'll go find my own attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And then a friend of hers, that wasn't much of a friend, looked in the phone book and found her an attorney. Oh, he's great. Everybody likes him. I go, that, and he's been doing this 50 years. I go, that just means he's been doing the fraud and all this stuff, stealing from everybody for a longer time.
Yeah.
Good. And I didn't like him. I wouldn't trust him. But she had to give us response because their next court date was on this Monday.
Mm.
And that's when they were going to start, you know, looking for the jury and start the court trial. And I don't think her attorney would, because her attorney said something. He said a lot of things weird, but this one thing he goes, well, on her paperwork, it says that they had several bench warrants for her because she wasn't showing up. She wasn't showing up? Is that what you're saying? Well, yeah, because it had bench warrants. I go, how do you know she wasn't showing up? How would you know? You just met her 2 weeks ago. And you didn't even talk to her until you tell her you're going to call her in the morning till noon. You never call. You tell her you're going to call the next day. You never call. You finally call on Saturday. And then you didn't tell us that you had another a jury trial coming up this week. So you would have to put it out until November. And I said, you don't know. Her daughter was with her then. She came to every meeting she had to be in, every meeting.
Yeah, and it's so ridiculous because they do stuff like that all the time. Either they don't notify you.
And they didn't know. Well, right. She knew her court dates. She knew them. She showed up. They just did that to her to keep her more scared. That's all I can think of.
Wow. Oh, that is so evil. Like she didn't have enough stress that they put her under already, right?
Right.
Wow.
And they didn't care. And then, so then he says, that's what he said. And then he said another thing. Well, you know, one of the great things is what's it called? Diversion. I go, really? Tell me about that. And I go,
it's just slower torture.
And I just said, okay, well, that doesn't sound good. Can she sue the people that falsely place these claims on her? Can she sue? And is that going to be on her record? Is she going to have a record? Does she have to plead no contest?
If she finishes the terms of the diversion, it won't be on her record.
Some of it is. Sometimes
it adds culpability. It adds, if you decide to go after them with a process and try and lay a claim against them.
See, that's a perfect situation where she needs to put the judge under trustee appointment.
Yeah.
Because if the judge is out of control, the court is out of control.
Yep. And that's exactly what has to be done. But these attorneys don't know that. And then the guy that was helping her, supposed to know it, didn't help her. I go, how did this go on 2 years, 2.5 years? How? And now
because he was running up the bill. He don't care. He's just running up the bill.
Well, he wasn't collecting any money at first, and then he decided.
They're getting paid on the back end.
Oh, the courts are, but Jeff, I'm talking about Jeff. Is supposed to be helping him, and he didn't ask for money before, but then he starts, well, and so she was just paying him $250 a month, and it went on and on and on and on.
Yeah, that's exactly why he's gonna get that $250 a month for 10 years if he can. He's not gonna do nothing for that $250. He's just gonna put it in the bank.
We know, I know. I met him, I talked to him. I didn't like what he's done. You should have been there for her. You could have been her next friend. And there's another name for it, but that's all I remember about that
Friend of
title.
the court.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't do any of that. Oh, well, my car is old, and you only lived in Modesto, and you could have asked her for a traveling fee, you know. And if your car broke down, I guess I don't know what you do about that. Rent a car. I mean, do something. Don't just leave her hanging.
Right.
Alone, all alone, going to court twice a month. Like, what they do? Oh, just ask me a question, and it was over. And then they'd have another court date, every month.
Yeah, they're just drawing it out. They're just gonna make it as difficult as possible for her to figure what she's gonna do. They have an attorney there that can confuse her even more,
That's
so
what
they can do whatever they want to her. And that, that really sucks. I would.
When we were there talking to him before the other thing is, finally when he called on that Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, he said, well, just send the money. Did you send the money yet? Did you send it? And then send it, not check or anything, because he wanted her to send it in a way where he really couldn't track it. I said, that's not gonna happen. And you're not paying him until we find out he doesn't have a contract written, nothing. So I asked him, where's the contract? We need a contract. What is that 5,000 cover? Well, it's a flat fee. What does that mean? And what does it cover? And then he told his friend Jeff, well, if it goes to court, it's in $7,000, not 5. And I go, you're going to court because we already sent you that information. Friday is pre-court and Monday's the court date. So she's going to pay you another 7,000 or 7,000. How does this work? And then we finally had her. You make a time, because he just does this broad spectrum of time. And I go, get a time, an hour. Get him to say 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock on this such and such a day, whatever day. And then we say, okay, so you will have that contract written out, right? Oh, yeah. So what does he do? We go there. Oh, yeah. Well, we're all done. So all you got to do is pay the money now. I go, well, all you got to do is produce a contract so we can read it. So she, and he goes, oh, well, let me go get it upstairs. He brings it down. Well, I haven't filled it out yet. And I go, and so what? And I go, and he just said, well, I didn't have time. I go, okay, then we'll take it and read it. But we're not giving you any money until this is read and understood and we all agree. And I didn't agree with that. Mark was afraid to tell her not to take it because court was on Monday.
If she would have fired that attorney, they couldn't have had court, because the court can't move forward until you have some form of representation that they can control.
Believe me, I fought them. She goes, what would you do, Mary? I don't know what to do. She's crying. I go, honey, I wouldn't do this. There's plenty of other things that I would do, but I would not hire this man. I would not give him any money. I wouldn't do it this way. And there's things that we know that you don't know. But I'm telling you, this is what and he goes, oh, you're trying to convince her not to. I go, she asked me a question and I'm answering it. And that's my answer. And then he says, and I go, I don't understand this diversion thing. You tell me about it. And so he starts saying all this and this and that. I go, how can we prove what you're saying? He goes, well, you can look it up on Google. Go ahead, look it up on Google. He thought we'd do it when we get home. Mark pulls out his phone, looks it up on Google, starts reading it. And it's bad. And he goes, oh, no, I thought he was going to hit the phone out of Mark's hand. Oh, he's waving his hand. No. No, that's not true. No, that's not the right. No. I go, there's the proof. Stop. Don't.
That's terrible. Yeah, he freaked out. I'm pretty sure he started reading the law. Yeah. Lawyers don't like that. Because lawyers don't really know the law. Lawyers know custom.
Lawyers know custom.
They know procedure. Yeah, custom, what they usually do. And so when you start speaking up on the law, they start sweating through that dress shirt.
And then he had the audacity. So she hires him because she didn't know what to do. She's scared to death. I said, how can they do any, I ask these questions, but I guess I'm dumb, but it didn't make sense to me. How can they do anything? She's not there. She doesn't have an attorney, and anyway, she went ahead and hired him, gave him the check. Of course, he brings I forgot to tell you this part. He brings that contract still not filled out. I go, oh my God, this guy's
That's
a joke.
ridiculous. Yeah,
So then
that just shows he's incompetent. I wouldn't deal with him.
Yeah, very incompetent and doesn't care at all. And then he goes off and handwrites stuff in. And Mark is writing, we have 3 days to rescind this contract. And he wrote something. He goes, oh no, you can't do that. I'm not going to take that. No.
Wow.
And then we still don't have the contract because he's going to take it now, make copies. And it's already Monday. And this was last Friday. How long does it take for you to, and she hasn't gotten her all the dates that she's supposed to show up in November. He didn't say it was going to be out until November. And she didn't understand that. I go, oh my God. She's so upset. You can't, she's better now. Oh God, it just takes my
Well, you can let her know that we do have, 2 legal advisors here. She might, she might want to do a consultation with them and see what options they have for her. But I mean, it's tragic what they do to people.
How do you get rid of the attorney? So one of our friends said, you watch him like a hawk. You stay close to him like white on rice, and anything he does, then she'll be able to fire him because you could say he's incompetent. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. And then we'll start filing, complaints and all that stuff. But right now, I don't think there's anything you can do until you fire him. And then we don't know when we're going to hear from him again.
Yeah, if she
I have a
fires.
question. I have a question about that, Lady B. When somebody hires a lawyer, can't they at will fire that lawyer for whatever purposes that they want to? I mean, why do you have to have? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I fired five attorneys in one case. And the last time I fired the last one, the judge looked at me, he said, we have to get you counsel. He said, but if I give you another attorney, he said, you're not going to take it, are you? I said, why? If 5 of them haven't done anything that I requested them to do, what would make this one any different? And he agreed with me. He said, okay, well, would you at least consider leaving this attorney in place as advisory counsel? So if I have an attorney, they're only there as advisory counsel because I'm not you're not going to speak on behalf of my name. You're just going to help me get through procedure. I mean, you tell me what comes next. What do they expect me to do now? But you cannot open your mouth on my behalf at all. And I kept it that way. But me, myself, I go in improper persona or I go in sui juris, but I don't play with attorneys like that. I don't, because they're just going to throw you under the bus.
Yes, they are. Even if you don't fire him and have him as counsel, like you said. I mean, they still can't talk. You're still in control, aren't you? Don't they have to say what you want?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
And so
they're supposed to. That doesn't mean that they do it. Sometimes you have to force it.
I know, but if they don't do it, then there's a cause to fire because he's not.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
And then do you have to give their money back? Or do you get your money back or they just keep it?
That part I'm not sure. Like I said, she would probably need to talk to the council that we have on staff. They would better know, they would know all the nuances about, because they've dealt with it hundreds of times, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you know, she lost her livelihood. That was her livelihood for like 40 years. And so she's just barely hanging on. So that would cause some problem.
Well,
Yeah.
you should definitely have her to get in touch with me. That way we could at least get her plugged into here so we could see what her options, so she could see what her options are. But just to let you guys know, we only do this for 2 hours, so we have about 30 minutes left. But I do have 2 questions in the chat from Stacy. One is, what constitutes a legal document? We sent a letter to a credit card company and they claimed it was not a legal document.
Was it
What
notarized?
did she send to them? What did you send them?
So Stacy, if you're still, yeah, I believe, yeah, you're still on. So just put in the chat right quick what you sent them. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna ask you her second question, Lady B, which was, can you use an estate in commerce that is being held within a private trust?
I do. My main entity is a foreign estate. So all of my stuff is now in that name, and my straw man is in the back pocket, so to speak. So if I need to discharge something, I use my straw man, right? If I make a purchase, I have an option. I can make the purchase in my estate name, or I can make the purchase in my straw name and transfer all the interest into the estate and just let the straw man discharge that debt. So yes, you can definitely use an estate that's buried in a private trust to do commerce. I do it all the time. So all my cars are in my estate name, my apartment, everything. Yeah, because you have to have a clean entity to move under, right? And if you're changing your status, right, and you no longer want to be considered a US citizen, then you have to have another entity and you have to stop using the US citizen to do so many things with. Did that answer your question on that, Stacy? Just let us know in the chat. As far as this letter to the credit card company, I kind of need to know, because you say it's a letter, but what type of letter? Was it a acceptance? Was it a claim? Was it an instrument? Was it, what kind of letter? Kind of need to know that. And Jazz, you're so quiet. Are you still there?
Okay, Mary and Mark, our other people on here have gotten very silent. You guys can take it away. We got 30 more minutes, so you guys can go ahead and ask whatever else you had to ask, Mark and Mary.
All right.
I
So
don't know what happened to Jazz, and I don't know what happened to Stacy. They're still on here, but I don't know if they're maybe they're busy and just listening in the background. But you guys can go ahead.
all right. Thank you, Tracy. So right now I'm working on one to try and get out in front of. I'm hearing that they're going to have related to FRERETA. They're trying to force a FRERETA. And I was trying to fill out a criminal complaint and get it filed prior to going in so that they know that we need business and get that on the record. Have you ever had anybody try and force the FRERETA upon you and push back on that so that you can stand and sui juris?
Say it again. Have I ever what?
So it seems in this county, they're real big on procedure. And one of the procedures is that they have to supposedly make you file a Ferretta form with a line of questioning and get you to agree to this nonsensical process or procedure that they have. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we have a criminal complaint on the record, because we already have some things that they've done wrong, to make the judge aware that we're knowledgeable of the law, number one. Number two, that we're standing sui juris. And number three, that all of that gets put on the record prior to us going into court, so that it becomes part of the equation and part of their problem. Put them back on their heels a little bit.
Right. Now, what I think you guys need to consider is, like I said, put the judge in your pocket first. Because nothing is going to go the way you want it to until you have the judge on your side. The judge has to work for your trust to give you what you want.
How do you do that?
A trustee appointment with a Form 56. But you want to get a certified copy of the judge's oath of office, and whatever court you're dealing with, get a certified copy of the presiding judge's oath of office.
But we did that.
Whenever you get a certified copy of an oath of office, whoever's oath you're requesting gets a notification that this person just got a certified copy of your oath. That is their warning, right? That lets them know if they keep coloring outside of the lines, and this person has a certified copy of your oath, they can lay a commercial claim on that oath.
So we've already got the certified copy of the judge. We did that. We got that in hand. They keep changing departments on us. They did that at the last one. So we went and got the judge that was on record, and then the morning of, they put it in a different judge's court. So that messed that up.
Oh, they got a little bit of hot potato?
Yeah, they're playing big.
That's okay. Once you get a trustee appointment put on the presiding judge, all that will stop.
Okay.
I've had issues with judges running rampant and doing whatever they want, and I had their presiding judge under a previous trustee appointment. And when I went and put my status on the record, the clerk was like, oh, so nobody in the court can even look at your documents. She said, none of the judges in court have the authority to even look at your documents. And that was because I had the presiding judge's oath, right? And I made him trustee. So the last judge that I dealt with before I went and saw the clerk, I made them recuse themselves because I appointed them trustee in open court, and she freaked out and started screaming and everything. But then she recused herself off the case immediately. Yeah. Right? And so when I updated my status in the record, it restarted the court case. And when I went back into court, it was back to the presiding judge, and he got rid of it. He asked me one question. Oh, do you think you served more than 1 day in jail for this? Yeah, I was in there for a couple of days. Oh, and that was his out. He gave my straw man time served and killed the case.
All right, so I guess I'd be interested in knowing what's within a trustee appointment of the judge.
Yeah, that is in our court foundation study site.
All right.
Let me see. Let's see if I can pull it up for you real quick.
All right, thank you. So is that an Article 4, appointment of trustee?
Yeah, yes, it is. And they get a Form 56 as well. So IRS understands as well that they are working for the trust. And so the Form 56 is like have you ever heard of a hold harmless agreement?
Yes.
Okay. That's pretty much what it is for a judge. Because if you think about the judge's position, they are an administrative law clerk. That's really what they do. They're administrators. They're not judges, right? Okay, so if they move outside of their authority, they lose their qualified immunity. That's why they stick with the administrative stuff. Oh, that's it. That's all they can talk. Oh, no constitutional, nothing in here, blah, blah, no court of record, blah, 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 right? Because they won't be covered under their qualified immunity if they don't follow those rules. Then they're ass out, right? But when you give them a Form 56, it gives them authority. So it covers them. So whatever moves they make on behalf of the trust, they will not be held responsible for if they do their job.
Well, we've already
Don't
put
do
it
their
on.
job, they're going to be paying that tax. I've never had a judge even issue a warrant for me after I made that judge a trustee. Do you know why? Take a guess.
Well, I think you said it earlier that you've removed their problem with having to have jurisdiction over that decision because they're administrators and not supposedly interpreting.
Right. Right. So if there's a Form 56 for that judge and they don't do the business of the trust and they issue a warrant for me, they're outside of their authority. But they're also the trustee. When they become fiduciary, they're a trustee for the trust. So if they put out a warrant in the trust name, guess who gets arrested? The trustee. Who's the trustee? The judge. Right? So, like I said, I've never had a judge that's under a trustee appointment for my trust issue a warrant for the name because they would go to jail.
What would it take for me to try and get that done in the next week? A consult, or we just need to go?
We can definitely do a consult.
Okay.
And that would probably give us like a better, once we have the conversation, we can give you whatever other things might be relevant for you guys, right? Because we try to fine tune the content that you're getting off of your situation, so you're not just kind of spinning wheels and information you don't really need, but that we can give you, exactly what it is that you need.
That would be great.
Okay, yeah, definitely get with Miss Tracy. She'll give you a booking link, and we can start from there. So
Okay.
this is the corporation site, and it's got a bunch of different concepts and techniques and things on here. So you would just go through this stuff, and there is a little, like this right here is gonna like take you step by step through your court stuff. So like, okay, you need to have your personal information, the name of the court, the address, the phone number, the presiding judge, the name of the clerk, prosecuting attorneys, and phone number. So you want to get everybody's information. And as you go through this site, it will help you build out the record for your case. So you know all of the involved parties, who needs to be notified whenever you put stuff out, and things like that. So it'll gather all that information from you, even like what discovery the attorneys might send back to you and things like that. You would go through each one of those steps, and it will help you build your record for court. And then as you get to the end, it'll give you an option to order the documents. Like you can order the complete court case, the court foundations document set, which is like a court case, bond, an affidavit. It's like several documents, which I use like foundationally on every court case. And then there might be some other documents that you want to add into it. But it takes you step by step through getting the judge's oath, doing your public records request, and things like that, so you can keep track, right? Look, seeking justice is about judicial misconduct and how to go against the judge, right? Here's one on invalid oaths. So you kind of know what the consequence is if you are dealing with a judge that doesn't have an oath, or a public official without an oath, right? The integrity, the oversight commission for the judges. And if you have a judge that is being unruly or engaging in misconduct, you know what laws to point out to that commission to get that judge sat down, right? So there's several links here that are going to help you understand the aspects of dealing with a judge, okay? And then there's some videos here, shows you how to do public records requests. So this will step you through, you know, each of the things that need to be understood. Then there's other resources here, like rescinding your signature, right? The understanding of rescinding your signature isn't just for court, right? You might have a, I don't know, say you bought a car, right? Right, you bought a car, you found out that the entire loan is fraudulent, and you reserved your right to rescind, and then you just rescind, you take your name off of that contract, which makes the contract null and void, which could lead to you getting that car for free if you have the proper consumer laws to back you up, right? So rescission of the signature is something that you can use in court cases, but you can use it in other things as well. So that's good to know. Another thing here is the pages on lawful money. A lot of people don't understand or pay attention to how, when, and why our notes changed, right?
With all of that.
Yeah. So that is something that you can bring up in court under certain situations that could just shut it down. It could be something as simple as you being in court with a 1 ounce silver coin in your pocket, and the judge says, well, you're going to be able to pay for this today. And you just go right on up there to the bench and you put that silver dollar down on the thing, watch him run out that courtroom.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Right. So this section here is a reinforcement for, you know, what is legal tender, what is lawful money, and all of these things, right?
Hold on, Lady B. Point of clarity. I don't know what it means if you put the silver coin down on the thing and he'll run out. Why would he do that?
Because courts can't deal with lawful money.
Oh.
And silver is lawful money. That's real money. So if you come to court and you have real money and they're telling you, oh, well, you need to pay for something, and you pull out some silver, they can't negotiate anything in silver.
You're bringing remedy to the matter. They have no way of doing remedy.
Yeah, and it really puts them in a bind. I had a boyfriend, they ran him over in court. He knew they were going to run him over too. So they run him over in court. And the judge says, well, we found you guilty. You're going to be able to pay these fines and fees today. And he was already standing at the bench. And he said, sure. He said, you take lawful money? And the judge looked at him like what? And as he said that, he put that $1 silver round down on the bench. And the judge started screaming and had the bailiffs drag him out of court, told him never come back in here. But the court case dissolved.
So let me ask you this. My son, Silver, because he done set up, he done set up, because he got to go to court on the 12th for that speeding ticket he got, and no insurance, even though I had just paid and had the proof of insurance, and he gave it to the cop, and the cop said that he can't find it in the system, so he still got to come to court.
He's a liar, and you can take it in before court and they should cancel it.
Oh, I asked them, could we come in before that? And they said, no, you got to come in on the docket and all that stuff.
That's silly, because what does the ticket say? The ticket says on or before.
Yeah, because I called and he said since when the cop pulled you over, they did not find in the system that the insurance was valid. You have to come in and show the proof to the judge. And so
Yeah, they're lying.
that's why they said he still had to come to the, so if he goes to court on the 12th and because he had a speeding ticket, they said that's $100. But if he go in there and put that, because I have silver, I got me 3 little silver coins. I got 3 of them, round the silver. But if he put that up there, what they gonna do to him?
You know what? I don't know, but he's young enough
Mhm,
to where if he attempts to do that and he has the understanding of lawful money,
mhm.
what can the judge say other than, damn, you are educated, young man?
Mm. I'm almost scared to have him do it though. I don't want them dragging his butt
Right.
out of
And you
there.
know what? Like, you always have to
You know
choose
what?
your,
He's sitting here telling me, Mom, I want to do it. I want to do it. I'm like, boy, okay, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, if it's something he wants to try, I would say go ahead and try it and see, but have whatever fee, the $100 or whatever it is,
Mhm.
like have that with him too,
Yeah.
and then use the silver as the first remedy and see what the reaction of the court is. Now, one thing you have to remember about court, if they're screaming at you and acting all crazy, that you're usually doing something correct,
Yeah.
right? So don't let that reaction intimidate you so much, even though that's really hard to say
Right.
when it comes to court, right? But if
Mhm.
if he does want to do something like that, have him write down a little affidavit of his understanding on what money is and what money is not, and put that into the court before he goes to court and give it to the other side. And I mean, like I said, he's young enough
Mhm.
that they would be like, well, how, first off, they're going to be like, how, who gave him this information? How did he get this information? And as long as he's letting them know, look, I read it. That's
Mhm.
what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to read, right?
Mhm.
Then he'll be making them look stupid and incompetent.
Yeah.
In my research, I've come across the facts, and facts state that we're going to settle this matter with a real remedy and lawful money.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, Miss Tracy, you can put him on this site under your account so he can read this lawful money stuff. It is very valuable. I mean, Dave
Okay.
has done it. One of the stories that Dave had about lawful money was he was at home, he gets a phone call. It's the judge. The
Oh.
judge tells him, Mr. McDowell, you're supposed to be in court right now. Well, Dave said, well, if I leave now, I'll be there in about 3-4 days. They said, well, what do you mean? No, you have to be in court now. He's like, well, I have to walk. It's going to take me time to get there.
Oh.
So the judge is like, well, you have to come to court. Like, you're supposed to be in court right now. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. If I leave right now, I'll be there in a couple days. So the judge is like, well, we have to get you here now. So is there nobody that can come get? He said, look, he said, you could tell the sheriff, come get me. You want me in court that bad? Tell the sheriff, come down here, get me. So the judge spazzes out a little bit. He says, I'll call you back. He hangs up the phone. A couple minutes later, he calls Dave back. He says, Mr. McDowell, the sheriff will be there in 2 hours to pick you up.
Oh.
So Dave got himself ready. Sheriff came, knocked on the door, didn't say a word, put him in the car, drove him to court, didn't say a word. Dave goes into court. The judge says, well, we found you, of course they ran him over. Oh, well, we found you guilty and you're gonna have to pay for these fines. He says, well, I don't have no money. No, he said, I'll be more than happy to pay the fines as soon as you can tell me what legal and lawful money is.
Mhm.
And the judge looked at him and was like, oh no. And he said, well, can you do community service? He said, sure, as long as you come get me in the morning, give me a good breakfast, give me a 15-minute break in the day, Give me a 30-minute break in the afternoon. Give me an hour for lunch. Provide me lunch. Take me back. He told him, you want me to do community service? You want me to pay for all this, plus my time. The judge says, well, Mr. McDowell, we can't do that. He said, well, I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. They dismissed the case, put him right back in the sheriff's car and sent him back home.
Mm-hmm.
On the way home, the sheriff couldn't keep his mouth shut. I ain't never seen nobody go up in there and bust up the judge like that. Woo, woo, woo. He bought him a meal on the way home and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So not impossible stuff. But it's about the knowledge that you know and show that you move as a creditor. You don't move as a straw man.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you, I mean, he never even had to pull any silver out of his pocket. He just answered all the questions properly. Well, if you want me to do that, it's going to cost you. Well, if you want me to do that, it's going to cost you. I don't have no Federal Reserve notes. I don't work for the government.
Well, let me ask you this. Since silver isn't secured party credit or anything, would it be safe for him to be able to do that in court? Because he's still a regular citizen.
He's a citizen that knows the law, though.
Okay.
And he's a citizen that's acting as a creditor.
Okay.
Right? So if you know you're a creditor and you act like a creditor, you don't necessarily have to have the financing statement done yet for them to respect that you're a creditor. It's your actions. So like if silver does go up in there with silver, immediately he now is a creditor because he got the silver and he knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
Right, because a citizen's not gonna come up in there with no silver because they're gonna come in there with a Federal Reserve note. That's all they know.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have him start
That's
studying.
something for him to think about, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him study and I'm gonna see what he retains. And then on the 12th, we'll go up there and like I said, I'm gonna see what he retained first. Because I ain't gonna let him go in there and make a fool of himself and they try to
Right.
act him up out of there, and it's gonna make me act a fool up in the courthouse over my son.
Yeah, and at least try to get get off an audio recording of what's going on. Like, don't really let them know you're recording, but try to get them sound bites because we use them as teaching tools to kind of show you the ridiculous things that judges say and do.
Okay.
So if you have the opportunity to do that, that would definitely help. Now on this page, Chain to the Sky, this is an interview about a lady who paid her traffic ticket with a $1 money order. Right? So she understands that money orders can be used to discharge debt and that the denomination of the money order has to be like $1 will cover up to, I'm just throwing numbers out there right now because I can't remember off the top of my head, but like a $1 money order would cover $20,000, right? Or a $10 money order can cover up to $100,000, right? So you get a $1 money order or $5 money order or a $10 money order, depending on how much debt you're trying to discharge. And because that money order is covered in gold, it switches up the game, right? So you basically are taking a lower denomination money order and adding value to it to do the discharge. So that is a pretty interesting concept right there and definitely worth listening to her interview. So like, yeah, these are some of the things that are on the site. There's a bunch of other reading material on the site as well. And I also have a folder of documents and videos and things that I have not put on the site yet. But if there's something that's in that content as well that is needed for you to research, when we have the conversation part is when I will load up those resources either to the site or to you for you to be able to consume. Okay, you have any questions on that?
Yeah, because we have about a few minutes left, and I did put the consultation link in there for you, Mary and Mark. But we'll be shutting down at 9 o'clock, which is 7 o'clock y'all's time, because y'all in California, but we do this every week, so we put a cap on it, so we're not going all night long like we first was when we first started doing this. So go ahead.
Yeah, Miss Tracy be saving me on that because she knows I will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
So
All right.
Mary and Mark, do y'all have any last questions before we shut down? And did y'all grab the consultation link out of the chat?
Okay, I have one question, Mrs. Mary. So you talked about being a citizen, and if you're not a citizen but a Californian, does it change things? Hello?
Yeah, in every state it will change things. Like, for instance, when I was dealing with CPS and my kids, and they took me to trial, the first question out of their mouth is, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" And my answer was, "No, but I have one." And you should have seen the judge smacked his forehead. He looked at the attorney like, mm-mm, mm-mm. Then they were like, "Well, do you have a residence?" "No, I don't. I'm domiciled." No, so they tried every way they could to get me to agree that I was a citizen, and I wouldn't do it. And then they were like, "Oh, your children, oh, your sons, oh, your offspring, this." "No, you mean my private property?"
Yeah.
My private property. Now, they don't have the right to administer private property. But I have evidence on the record that says my sons are my private property. They were created for my use and enjoyment. And if anybody else is going to have use and enjoyment out of them, they need to pay me some rent. Right? And so, yeah, they were like, "Yo, this lady is not playing the game." "No, I'm not playing the game, because you're calling me a citizen and you're asking me, am I a bank account, basically? How stupid does that sound? Do I look like a bank account? No, I do not."
Got your bank account right here. It's this little piece of paper that I've had in the drawer.
Mm-hmm.
My birth certificate?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Correct. Correct. Yeah, when they start asking you questions like that, just have the right answer.
Exactly.
Because with the right answer, you can shut stuff down quickly, quietly, and then they mark you in the system as, "Leave this person alone."
Yep. Not worth the trouble.
Right, exactly. And that's really the number one goal that people have, is to get them to leave you alone.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you can do that successfully in one area, the snowball will roll downhill, and it'll collect all the other agencies. Will eventually, notice to agent is notice to principal, notice to principal is notice to agent. So once it's in the record that, "Oh, they're not a citizen, but they have one," they're going to mark a do not detain on that agency, so that agency does not approach you in that manner anymore.
Exactly.
That's what they've done for me. That's what they've done for Dave. They don't like touching my kids either.
That's what we're trying to do. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Okay, Tracy, I'm gonna need a copy of this meeting and listen to it over and over.
Oh, yes, fine. I'll definitely send you guys a recording. Got 3 minutes left before we shut it down.
Yeah, and I'm gonna ask if Stacy or Jazz, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat so we can get them answered for you guys. And Stacy, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait till we talk on your meeting. We're gonna get to the bottom of it.
What are they gonna talk about? Oh, her court. Oh, her court. Oh, yeah. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, and Mary and Mark, if you guys want to like take some time and gather like some of the things that you guys have done and the stuff that you're battling in court, when we get on your consultation, we can go through those things.
Absolutely. I've got them all documented.
But its time is short.
Less than 2 weeks.
We're less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, so let's try to get you guys in as soon as possible so we can figure a direction for you.
Great.
Was it,
Jazz, I was saying that if you have any questions, we're getting ready to end the call, and I don't want to end it until I know that I've answered all of your questions for you, and the same for Stacy. So just let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll answer them before we get off.
The one big one that I've got that I see that they're trying to stop me on is that we actually challenged jurisdiction, personnel, and subject matter, and we challenged all 12 presumptions of court. And from what I'm seeing, they're ignoring it, and I think they're going to try and play that they didn't get it. But somehow I need to get it in the court record, in the file, or in the hands of the judge.
Find out which part they are breaking in the federal rules or the state's rules for civil or civil procedure, right?
Okay.
One of the keys to going to court is tracking every single step of the rules, and any one of those things that they did not do properly, you take that law, write it down, and you bring it to the attention of the court. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, 9 times out of 10, you're not, you're never notified properly, you're never summoned properly, or you're never given the proper amount of time to respond, or they ignore your response and just give a default, or blah, 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 blah. It could be many things, but it's always something in the rules that they're not following. So if you bring those things up and lay them on the table, nothing else can be put on the table until that's cleared. Right? So if you brought up jurisdiction and you go into the law for your state and it says, once jurisdiction is brought up, it can be brought up at any time. Once jurisdiction is brought up, it must reflect on the record. The judge cannot assume it for the other side's behalf, and the other side just can't say, oh yeah, we have it because whatever reason. They have to put it on the record. So if they can't put it on the record, the court case needs to die.
Yeah, that's exactly where we're at. It's just, like I said, we've done the 30-day notice. We did the 5-day grace notice and opportunity to cure, and we did the default. And I would love to have it with a stamp on it that says the clerk of the court stamped and received it.
Yeah, then we would talk it out, but you would mainly, you would let them know you want your default. They're not going to answer. They have plenty of time to answer. Here's their original default. They're well past the time to answer. I want my default judgment. Now, if the judge isn't going to give you the default judgment, go to the Judicial Commission.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about now, is the criminal complaint to the judicial. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to get done right now.
But see, you don't necessarily want to do a criminal complaint, but what you would do, and this is, we're talking about the judge, what you would do if you don't put the judge under trustee appointment, they're going to keep acting the way they are. So if they keep acting the way they are, most judges are attorneys, right?
Yeah, they are. Yes.
Okay, so then you make a bar complaint and you make a Judicial Commission complaint.
Yeah.
Right? So you hit them on both sides.
Yeah.
So public officials can't have, like judges can't get more than 3 complaints in 1 year. They become unbondable.
Right.
Which means they could never have another public official office because they can't get a bond for it.
Exactly.
Even if they keep switching judges on me.
Yeah, if they're out of line, make a complaint on every single one. But like I said, if you capture the oath and you do a trustee appointment for the presiding judge, the way that we make our trustee appointment, it's going to flow down onto every other judge that thinks they're going to get involved in the case instantly. So there's no way out of it. Whatever judge they hot potato it to is immediately under that same appointment.
Yeah. We've got to work on a couple of things. So All right,
do
let's
we get-
close it out.
Okay, I just want to, do we get oath from the DA? No, do they have oaths? Are we supposed to-
Yeah, yes, they have oaths too, but you're gonna need to look in the law to see who has to have record of it. In most cases, oaths need to be in two different places in the state. One place would be with the Secretary of State or whoever does elections. And then usually it's the county clerk. So like the county court clerk is usually the second party that needs to have a record of their oath. Now, if your state's law says it needs to be in two places and it's only in one, then you want to get a letter on their letterhead that says that the second agency has no record of what you're requesting.
As required by our state. Yeah, got it.
Right, and see, that way you have evidence that it's not in both places, therefore you are out of bounds. You also want to look at the oath and go into the laws for your state, make sure that first off, that it's the proper oath. Because a lot of times they put down a whole different oath, or the oath is not signed by somebody who was duly given authority to administer oaths, or there's no seal, or, it's a bunch of different, their name's not on it, or their name has a middle initial instead of their full name, or there's a lot of things that they do to make that oath invalid.
None of
Right.
them have the flows. All of them are only doing the first paragraph. None of them are doing the second paragraph.
Well, do you know what that means?
No,
That means that they didn't take the oath.
Exactly, and you know what that means? That means that they don't need that job anymore, so take it. Shut
You
them
say-
down.
you say get off the benches. I'm taking over? What do you mean take it?
Okay, so if you can bring and prove that their oath of office is not valid, it's not in the right areas, then they are not a judge, which means that their entire salary needs to be paid back and they need to remove themselves from the situation.
That would be great.
In some states, they'll give them an opportunity to correct their oath or whatever, but you have to read the laws first to see if that's applicable, because sometimes they'll try to do that and the law states they need to go to prison and repay the money. Instead of just, oh, we're going to let you retake it over. No. If the law does not say that, then they cannot do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
But it's not very hard to remove a judge. I've done it several times. It's pretty easy.
Wait till we meet again.
You got that in your paperwork, that was 20. So,
Yeah, and we'll be able to get into more detail when we have documents and stuff to look at when we do your consultation.
all right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. God bless you all. And
Yes.
good night.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming on to this particular Q&A, and we will see you guys again next week if you decide to jump back on. And please tell people about it, anybody that's like-minded and have the capacity for freedom for this kind of stuff. Just share the link with them. The link never changes, and we'll see you guys again next week. God bless. Bye.
I'm gonna
Bye,
have that,
guys.
I'm gonna have that lady get on that night.
Okay, good. Yeah, definitely bring her. Yeah, give her the link and have her jump on.
Yes. All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
night.
Good night.
Good night. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
You too.